Yes, that's it, Jinyu. Your writing has greatly improved today, which means yesterday's intensive training was effective.
My apologies, but I simply can't do it anymore. My hands are so sore that I can't even move them anymore. Oh, I should have known better than to read novels during calligraphy.
You just had a 10-minute break. Come on, you can do—
When it comes to pushing a deadline, there's no one more brutal than Mr. Hirayama.
No wonder Lady Yai would always send the editorial director to handle troublesome authors.
Whoa, this is getting scary. It hasn't even been that long, and Shicho's already zombified.
Mr. Hirayama, we found a solution that might just solve our dilemma. In both Liyue and Inazuma, seals are widely used as the equivalents of a signature. If we use a stamp to leave the author's seal on the books, then we could make the signature process a lot easier. Of course, a seal on its own is not enough. So, I propose that each signature consists of 2 parts. First, we'll use a personalized seal. We can simply carve one using Chenyu's signature as the design. In addition, I'll also design a simple but elegant pattern that's easy for Chenyu to write. That way, he will only need to draw a simple pattern on each book.
Let me think. All right, I think that would work.
So, what you mean to say is, I've been saved from this predicament?
Mr. Hirayama, it suddenly occurred to me that the reason we gave up on live book signings previously was because it would take too long for the author to sign each book. But if we adopted Calx's proposed method, we might have enough time to do signatures at the live event. And if all the authors signed their books in the same fashion, then Genyu's signature wouldn't look out of place.
If you think it's feasible, I would certainly be happy to design signatures for the other authors as well.
Yes, and you may leave carving the stamps to me.
In that case, I shall contact the other 2 authors participating in the new release.
It is a great honor to use this.
My pen name is quite...
Great! Looks like everyone...
I'm sorry to have kept you busy for so long, Jinyu. Please, take the next few days to have a good rest. We'll handle everything. The books that Jinyu already signed can be used as special prizes in future events held by the Eye Publishing House.
We did it. The event is saved.
Thanks to everyone's efforts, Onodera and I are finally free of that.
That's right! You're finally free, Xingqiu. We still have some time to burn. Where should we go next?
Traveler, there you are.
Oh, it's Ayaka! And Venti! That's an interesting combo.
I was just going to the festival venue to prepare the Ikebana lesson when I found a strange piece of paper on a flower stand. This bard just happened to be close by at the time. He informed me that you've also found similar papers recently. As such, we came together to find you two.
But the paper she found isn't quite the same as the ones we found before.
Here's the paper. Please, have a look.
Huh. All the poems we found before were roughly the same length. But this one is...
And even though there are only 2 short sentences, neither of them are next to the title or centered on the page. The position of the writing seems to indicate...
If we take the poem literally, it reads, "Dip this paper in water, and see the truth naturally appear." Speaking of which, I have an ancient text at home, specializing in ancient...
So, shall we give it a whirl? It just so happens that there's a pond nearby.
story says that after Sumizomi got the collection of poems from Akihito and put them into a stream of the plagiarized words, and the poem became blurry.
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, handwritten text could easily become smudged in books when exposed to moisture. To ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink or coat the paper surface. Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the shogun, surely one. But as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
Yes, it appears that this is the truth that Sumizome's story is trying to convey. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subjects to use for Akihito and Sumizome's portraits. Kazuha, Ayaka, would you be willing to be the models for my paintings?
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
There you go. The next 2 portraits should be ready in no time.
Yes. And now that all 4 stories have all been collected...
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kasen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akihito.
Akihito had once belonged to the 5 Kasen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akihito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kasen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing, which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
I'm sure I forgot.
Yeah. Ever since we completed the story of the 5 Kasen, there's still one thing Paimon hasn't been able to figure out. One of the 5 Kasen is called Kuronu. It's just that... How could the story...
Oh!
Huh? Not noticed what?
What he means is that the story of Kuronushi was already embedded within the 4 poems.
Huh?
That's right. The key lies in the poem that Aoi no Okina wrote after seeing Sumizome rinsing An average person could never understand the scene of a young girl washing Akihito's poetry. Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizome's actions. However, For the perpetrator who framed Akahito, he was worried that if this poem was seen by the Shogun, then the Shogun could So in desperation, he threatened Aoi no Okina to make him tear out this poem.
Which means the one who threatened Aoi no Okina is the same person that framed Akahito. What?
That's right. Though there are only 4 poems, since the Shogun mentioned in the poems is certainly not the one of the 5 Kasen,
Oh, okay.
However, to bring something else to mind. The story of the 5 Kasen has more or less reflected everything that's been happening around us lately. Which begs the question, is there a Kuronushi in our world?
A Kuronushi?
Speaking of which, I wonder if our dear Kazuha...
Oh, right! Kazuha! He's been Hey, Kazuha! Are you okay? You've been standing in front of this blank canvas for a...
Apologies for making a wild assumption, but...
Yes. A few things did come to... I don't mind sharing the stories, but I'd prefer not to bring...
Hey! We're all friends here, Kazuha. You can always tell us whatever's on your mind.
Kaedehara, please forgive my assumption, but perhaps you were thinking of the Raiden Gokuden?
The Raiden Gokuden?
It appears that Miss Kamisato and I were but it also has much to do with the Yashiro Commission.
It's fine. Those of us here are all trustworthy. However, this matter is somewhat complicated and may be difficult to explain. Let me start with the Raiden Gokuden. As you all know, the Yashiro Commission's primary purpose is managing... The Raiden Gokuden were once the top 5 schools of the forging art in Inazuma. Although these families were swordsmiths by craft, they also held many important... Unfortunately, of the 5, only the Amenoma art still maintains its art. The descendants of the Ishin art are none other than the Kaedehara.
Whoa! We knew Kazuha came from a noble family, but we had no idea about his connection to the...
Yes, but that's all part of the past now. The Ishin art was lost with my great-grandfather's. My grandfather was dissatisfied with my great-grandfather's lack of effort. When he was young, my grandfather traveled all over Teyvat to find a way to revive the family business. And in my generation, our last remain...
I heard my elder brother mention that the decline of the Raiden Gokuden happened very rapidly. Later, there was speculation that all of these misfortunes stemmed from some background machinations. Meaning, however, since not every family of the Raiden Gokuden...
Indeed. I've also believed such ideas were just theories and rumors. However, I know that a major incident happened. Not only did it affect the Kaedehara clan, but it nearly jeopardized the Kamisato clan's position in the yacht. After reading the story of the 5 Kasen,
What exactly happened to...
I still can't say. I need to speak with someone to verify the details. Ah, you're here. It appears everyone has arrived. Last night, I visited a former servant who once worked for my family. I was able to learn in my great-grandfather's generation, the Ishin art was tasked, though all the craftsmen involved were very experienced. The process, when the deadline came, the blade still wasn't finished. The Kaedehara clan, however, They met. The Kaedehara clan was severely punished for the swordsmiths that had escaped, and the family gradually fell into decline. Moreover, I heard that the head of the Kamisato clan was injured by the fleeing swordsmiths, which combined with his advanced age caused him to pass away.
Yes. The sudden passing of the family head left the Kamisato clan leaderless. This single incident had profound effects. Even after the position as head of the clan was passed to my... But, thanks to my brother...
The failure to forge the blade was ultimately attributed to a lack of required skill and finesse. However, the story of the 5 Kasen seems to imply that the failure didn't stem from a lack of skill, but rather, the diagram had been tampered with. Miss Kamisato, I heard yesterday that the Yashiro Commission has still kept the diagram ever since the fail... Might I ask...
Yes, I understand. Everyone, I've managed to find the old diagram.
Though the diagram is well preserved, you can still tell that it's seen at least 3 or 4 centuries of...
Whoa, that's pretty...
At this point, we can only try our luck and see how we fare.
Kazuha, this is clear evidence that this chart was indeed tampered with. Someone framed the Kaedehara clan all those years.
I see. But I fear that I've discovered this secret too. When my grandfather was young, he proposed reviving the Ishin art many times to my great-grandfather. Yesterday, the former family servant said that my great-grandfather even went to the Yashiro Commission to request that diagram from the head of the Kamisato clan. He then showed that diagram to my grandfather and asked him, and sure enough, my grandfather also failed. My great-grandfather then told him, "If you can't find the secret within..." My grandfather left Inazuma in a rage after hearing those words. He did... Looking back at it now...
Oh, I heard that your great-grandfather was very industrious when he was young. But later in life...
Kazuha, did your great-grandfather really say, "If you can't find the secret..."
Yes. My grandfather was so angry at the time that he smashed my great-grandfather's cherished bonsai tree.
Yes, it appears that you and Kazuha, if your great-grandfather thought that the Ishin art lacked finesse, then after witnessing his son's failure, wouldn't he have said something more along the lines of... But instead he said, "If you can't find the secret within..." Don't you find that a little strange?
Huh? So you're saying my great-grandfather may have very well known?
Yes. The current evidence...
I apologize, but Would you all... After I became a wanted criminal, the Tenryou Commission seized my family's last remaining estate. I want to inquire about the whereabouts of those belongings.
All right, let's...
Cascade!
What are you all doing here? Did something happen on Rito?
Kujo Sara. Perhaps you still remember me.
Yes, I do. You're Kaedehara Kazuha, a wanted criminal during the Vision Hunt decree. However, your arrest warrant has since been repealed.
Sara, we'd like to ask about the Kaedehara clan's property that was seized by the Tenryou Commission. Do you...
Yes, the items seized at that time are currently stored in the warehouse next to the police station. Since Kaedehara has come back to Inazuma, those items should be returned to their rightful owner.
No, I'm afraid you misunderstand. I'm not here to reclaim those belongings. I just want to investigate them for a personal matter.
I see. All right, I'll inform the police station. They'll take you into the warehouse.
Thank you, Sara!
That's all in the past now, Kujo Sara. There's no need to mention it again. However, may I ask...
Yes?
Currently, I have no plans to stay in Inazuma. As a result, Madam Kujo, I believe you are a person of integrity. After our investigation is over, I'd like to ask if you can handle those belongings for me. Please, sell them, and use the money to help the poor.
All right, I understand.
Ah, you must be here to investigate the Kaedehara clan's belongings. Well, Madam Kujo's already informed me. The Kaedehara clan's belongings are stored in this warehouse. However, I have clearly marked the corresponding items, so they shouldn't be too... I'll be waiting for you at the door. Please, come see me if...
Kazuha, since the items are scattered throughout the building...
Yes, sounds like a plan.
There must be some around here. Do you see all these pots here? Some of them are bound...
Hey! Everyone else is...
I merely jest, of course.
Well, Paimon doesn't really get why Kazuha told Sara. What if we don't end up finding anything today? Then what...
I know you are worried about Kazuha, but if you... Since Kazuha made such a request to Sara, That indicates he's already made his choice. Whether we find out the truth or not today, or whatever it turns out to be, he's ready to accept it. No, not intuition. Rather, I've lived for a long time now, so you could say I have some experience in reading people. Leave the things here to me. You two can look.
What did you find, Xingqiu?
I found quite the pile of old books. These books here are all related to smelting steel. And these are about the process of forging blades. This pile over...
The books about plants and flowers must have belonged...
I skimmed through them just now, but I didn't find anything particularly worth noting.
Oh, it's you. Unfortunately, I have yet to find anything of value here.
Whoa, this folding screen looks pretty old, though.
Yes, perhaps if it were better maintained, then it could fetch a decent price. However, I was taking a closer look just now and noticed the soil is deeply embedded into the cloth. That means a great deal of force was used when the dirt was lodged into the cloth. It's likely that this patch of dirt is from the very flower pot thrown by Kazuha's grandfather. Because this... If I wanted to leave a message behind...
Albedo seems to be thinking pretty...
Oh, it's you.
Oh, since the Kaidahara clan was a family of renowned swordsmiths...
I'm afraid not. Although the sword rack is made of fine wood, the swords placed here appear to be quite ordinary. Due to the dire financial situation of the late Kaidahara clan, everything of value has probably been sold off already. The blade on the sword hasn't been sharpened, but there are many signs of use on the hilt. Perhaps Kaidahara used it for training as a child.
Let Paimon see! Oh, there seems to be a couple uneven characters etched into the scabbard. Paimon can imagine what Kazuha was like as a kid.
I will continue investigating here and call you if I find anything interesting.
Everyone, I've found something that you should all have a look at. This flower pot was in my house for a long time. I heard that it was left behind.
Yeah, the plant seemed to...
Well, after my great-grandfather... But he specifically left behind this dead plant at the time. My grandfather deeply regretted that he never managed to reconcile with my great-grandfather, so he left... But now that I think about it, my great-grandfather could very well have left it behind.
Now that you mention it, this flower pot is kinda suspicious.
Yes. Let's take a closer look, shall we?
We finally found something! Do you think someone already discovered the compartment and...
No, I do not think that is the case here. See the paper?
You mean to say that these sheets have been written with special ink?
Yes, I agree with it.
Okay, let's get...
There is a pond outside the police station.
Well, how did it go? Those weren't...
Just as everyone guessed, after I sprinkled some water onto the paper.
Oh? What does the letter say?
It is. I'll tell you what my Everyone?
Kaedehara, why did you lead us to this beach?
It is. In fact, my great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan, our hypothesis was correct. My great-grandfather was well aware of the truth behind it. Reads, to whoever reads this letter, I, Kaedehara Yoshinori, have been held to a certain secret throughout my entire life. I don't have much longer in this. All those years ago, when I was pursuing the swordsmiths alongside Commissioner Kamisato of the Yashiro Commission, I was not injured by one of the fleeing smiths. Rather,
it was night, and after the clues led us down to shore, I waited for the culprits to show themselves. However, this stranger claimed to be the one behind the failed forgings, and said that he had been patiently waiting for us. That person was of able body, and in a blink of an eye, myself and the accompanying samurai had been defeated. Commissioner Kamisato was severely wounded, and I barely escaped death myself. My hat had fortunately blunted a blow to my head. The unusual stranger could have easily claimed my life at that moment. But, after noticing my appearance, he stopped his attacks and sternly asked if I had any connection with the name. I answered that it was my father's surname, and after my father disappeared, upon hearing my answer, the stranger paused. After a long silence, he suddenly said, "Tell her this. My name is Kuni Kuzushi." He then turned and left.
Wow.
Yes. My great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan escaped from death and learned. However, due to the encounter, the head of the Kamisato clan was worried that my great-grandfather would be falsely accused of being involved with the perpetrator. So even on his deathbed, the master of the Kamisato clan cautioned because the perpetrator said he would destroy the Raiden Gokaden. He said, "As the leader of the Kaedehara clan, I am deeply ashamed to witness the decline of the Isshin art. But as a father, yes, that's right. If my grandpa had somehow discovered the secret, unfortunately, he failed to catch Miss Kamisato. It appears you were unaware of the happenings that my great-grandfather just...
I suppose the reason the head of the Kamisato house if the perpetrator was capable of tampering with even the Shogun's diagrams, and could single-handedly defeat many men, then I will discuss this matter with Brother shortly, and investigate the identity behind the one called Kuni Kuzushi.
To be honest, as I read the letter, I felt much turbulence in my heart. But now I've managed... My great-grandfather said in the letter that he did not wish his descendants to blindly seek revenge and be deceived by things of the past. Though he was in a tight situation when he wrote these words, I think what's most important for each person is not the past, but the present. Even though we must carry the burdens from the past, there are also things we wish... Therefore, knowing the truth behind what happened is enough for me. That being said, if the enemy from all those years ago is still lurking and plotting to stir up more trouble, then I definitely won't turn a blind. These are simply insights I've gathered from all... Thank you all for accompanying me in my search for the truth behind that incident.
Great! Now that we're done here, let's head back to... stage of the Iridori Festival. Not only will there be Shincho's signing event, but Albedo's...
Hello, Traveler. Paimon?
Albedo, why is the portrait of Kuranushi all covered up? Paimon wants to see what your Kuranushi portrait looks like.
Don't worry. The unveiling ceremony, I will say that I'm most satisfied with... is that...
I came here to take in the sea breeze. Such a bustling atmosphere is never really to my... Thank you, but please, look. But now, not only are foreigners coming to Inazuma again, but traffic between here and...
Yeah, Inazuma has already started to change, huh?
I was thinking it might take a different amount of time, and when they finally let go, they are free to follow the wind as they please.
Ah, greetings, traveler.
Oh, Ayato! We finally get to see the busiest person of all.
Yes, there were many things which required my... Fortunately, the Iridori Festival is proceeding smoothly.
Brother and I are very grateful.
Thoma sure is taking his sweet time.
Yes. Today is one of the rare occasions when Brother isn't busy. I was going to buy some books, but he said he wanted to come along. His treat. However, he forgot...
Paimon didn't think Ayato could ever be forgetful.
Brother always works diligently, and it's rare for him to ever put his duties to the... So, Thoma and I really cherish...
Next on the agenda...
Traveler, Paimon, it's a pleasure to see you. Indeed it did. Thanks to you, the signing event went off without a hitch. And I must say, the readers seem most satisfied.
Shincho, is it just Paimon, or are you on the lookout for some...
You aren't mistaken. Though I'm ashamed to admit it. After all, I came to Inazuma under the pretext of evaluating a potential investment. Fortunately, the crowds have... Oh, I should mention, Shu is also unaware of the real purpose of my trip. If you happen to meet him, then please accept my thanks in advance. I'll see you later at the unveiling ceremony for Kuranushi. Well, hello.
Hey! What are you two doing together? Don't think we didn't see you two chatting up a storm just now. The moment we came over, you stopped talking.
Is that so?
We were merely discussing wine and food. I'm sure you two would...
Speaking of good sides with sake...
Forget it. Even if those two are plotting something that... It's time for the portrait's unveiling ceremony. Let's head over to the Five Kasen Plaza.
Everyone, welcome to the magnificent... Today, we have ushered in the final stage of our... And now we will reveal the final portrait of the Five Kasen.
portrait.
Let's all count down together. 3, 2, 1. Huh? What's this? This piece depicts nothing but a background. I suppose Calx must have forgotten to include the character. Let's hear some words from Calx himself.
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to say that it was an honor to be invited to create the portraits of the 5 Kasen. The 5 Kasen are legendary figures from ancient Inazuma, famous for their works of poetry. As time passed, I learned from existing sources about those stories that the character of Kuronushi is the deepest and most differing of the 5 Kasen. Moreover, Kuronushi lacks a dedicated chapter among the stories. It's as if he is a... Perhaps we can assume that every creator had a different understanding of Kuronushi. So, in the same way, after all, the...
Yep, that's Albedo for ya. His super logical explanation is sure to win Well, it seems that our adventures at the Iridori Festival have come to a close. Huh? What? Oh, right! We still haven't figured out who left those stories of the 5 Kasen. Really? Come on then, who is it? Tell Paimon! Well, that makes sense. Otherwise, there'd be no way to give... Right. Even though they were using stories to hint us toward Shincho's troubles, the real goal was to lead us to solve... Oh! Paimon, let's go!
The one who left the stories of the 5 Kasen.
Huh? Really?
But seeing as you... Because other than me...
Born of ice and frost.
Ayato! You're the... But don't you think you overdid it a little? Leading all your friends on a wild hunt like...
As it just so happens...
Huh. Paimon wants to...
First of all, the start of this whole incident was due to mere happenstance. You see, Lady Yae happened to catch sight of Shincho and the editor carrying the books away one night. She thought it was interesting.
Huh? So Paimon knew it! This thing had Miko...
That's right. But using the story of the 5 Kasen to guide you to the Kaedehara family's secret. As for my roundabout approach... Well, that was something which... Yes, I knew there was what Kaedehara the Kaedehara, although he had... Of course, if he lacks the Kaedehara Yoshi for a long time...
Oh, Paimon gets... Yeah, it...
I merely saw... And more important, reliable friend, because it is also very likely that you will... You already know that the answer is action when there is no one else near. As for the means of...
pretty late, so nobody else is around now. So Ayato must have been telling us to splash water on... It's the Balladeer! So he was the one behind the trouble all those years ago!
When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eyes. As for the means of revealing that answer, well, you have used it many times before. Also, there's... I mentioned earlier that the occurrence of a certain incident made me notice the bonsai plants. It was just after the Shogun announced the abolition. They had discovered signs that someone had entered. I felt something unusual about that incident, so I told Kujo. In the meantime, I sent a member of the Shumatsuban to keep watch over the warehouse. And sure enough...
You mean...
I let him search for a while, but in the end, he found nothing.
Why didn't you send
The best way to protect a secret is to treat it as if it doesn't exist, is it not? After he left Inazuma, I carefully checked the Kaedahara clan's belongings one by one, and eventually discovered I am certain that the paper... So, now, which part of Kaedahara Yoshinori's experiences was the secret that needed to be protected? I don't have an answer to this question at present, so as for now, please, enjoy yourselves at the Iridori Festival.
Next on the agenda,